I've been in the apparel game now for over 7 years, and I've seen hundreds of examples of clothing brands make catastrophic decisions that truly hurt their brand's reputation and destroy their brand. And I've even made a ton of these mistakes with my own brand, being a guinea pig here for you so that you don't make these same mistakes. What I want to share with you in this video are 10 examples of what not to do when you start up a clothing brand. These are 10 things where if you do them, it's guaranteed to hurt your brand's reputation. You're going to end up back at your desk job probably wondering why I didn't listen to that dude on YouTube who has gray hair. So I really hope that this helps you run your brand a lot better. Here it is. For the 9 millionth time, Apparel Success is sponsored by my buds over at Design Crowd. If you struggle with designs, I really recommend that you try them out. You post a project on Design Crowd, super talented designers are going to compete for your project. You choose the winner, then you get that design plus revisions. I've literally sold thousands of these designs on my website, and I got them all made through Design Crowd. If you're interested, head over to designcrowd.com/apparel to learn about the special offer that I have for you, or just use the discount code apparel when you post a project on Design Crowd. Here are 10 things not to do when you first start up a clothing brand. The first thing is posting product images alone as your content strategy on social media. This is where you launch your clothing brand, you fire up your Instagram account, and all of the posts that you're making are just your product images on a white background. It's the hoodie that you're trying to sell. It's the t-shirt that you're trying to sell. And those are all the posts that you're making. You're not posting any valuable content for anybody, things that people are finding funny, things that people are finding entertaining. It's literally just like, here's my product, buy my product from me. This will not work to grow your account because if you've ever heard of the saying, the hungry don't get fed, well, you look like you're just hungry for sales and that's all that you're trying to do. Instead, try following the content marketing rule of for every 10 posts, make 9 posts that are giving value and 1 post that's sharing a product or trying to sell something. This tends to keep that giving to taking ratio in perfect harmony where your audience isn't being overwhelmed trying to be sold to all the time, and where when you finally do offer a product, they're like, yeah, that looks actually sick, I'll definitely buy from you. This leads perfectly into the second example of what not to do when you start up a clothing brand, which is only think about selling products. What happens when you're just trying to sell, and be overly promotional is you end up creating inauthentic content that's ineffective. Like imagine if all my YouTube videos here were me just trying to sell to you something the whole time. You'd be like, why would I listen to this guy? The reason why you're here is because hopefully you can feel from me that I am in a giving state right now. That's all that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help you grow your clothing brand. And so that's what keeps you watching. That's what keeps you interested. It's the exact same thing with your clothing brand. When you're sharing genuine stories, behind the scenes, user-generated content, things that people will truly find interesting and valuable, people have such a better relationship to your brand and they truly become fans of your brand. The third thing not to do when you start up a clothing brand, and I am embarrassingly guilty of doing this myself, so I'm passing this over to you so that you don't make the same mistake, is bug celebrities, kind of annoy them, and literally kind of come across as needy for trying to get pictures and trying to get endorsements for your brand. When I first started up my brand, I was inexperienced with dealing with influencer partnerships, and so I would mismanage them and I would message them too much. I would ask for too much. I wouldn't give as much as I should have. And if you were to go back and read some of my old messages that I sent to influencers and to celebrities to try and land endorsements from them, they were probably like a bit too much, like asking for too much and just messaging them over and over again. And I would just go back in time and never have done that. I learned my lesson fairly quickly because I realized that the more I messaged these celebrities, the less they respected you as a brand, the less they wanted to work with you, and the less they were willing to support you. And so I learned really quickly that the more you give them space, the more that you're just offering free gifts to them, not asking for pictures in return. Hopefully you get one, but if you don't, that's totally cool. And you manage the relationship in that kind of way, it always pans out in the future so much better, and they'll always have a good perspective of your brand. So be very cautious with poorly managed influencer partnerships. There's some I wish I could go back in time and say, hey, look, I didn't really know what I was doing as a first-time entrepreneur, and I wish I didn't message you this much or ask for this much in return, and I'm really sorry, but I hope that you can learn the lesson from me. The fourth example of what not to do when starting up a clothing brand, and please God, don't do this for your brand. I saw this come up so many times in the brand reviews that I was doing when I was doing the brand reviews a lot, is having spelling errors on your website. You wouldn't believe how many clothing brands that are starting up have written a little blurb about what their brand's all about or on their story, and literally they can't string a sentence together. Like they can't spell the sentence right. And now with ChatGPT and AI generated descriptions and things, there's absolutely no excuse for having spelling errors and things misspelt on your website. So be really careful about the actual copy that you're using on your website. Clear and concise always beats long and boring. So even on your story page, don't write way too many words. Just write as many words as you need to write to convey the story as interestingly and as entertaining as possible. The fifth thing to never do when you start up a clothing brand is respond negatively to bad comments. The bigger that your brand gets, the more reach you start getting on TikTok, the more your brand starts going viral, the more hate you're going to start getting. And people are truly ruthless on things like TikTok and Instagram these days. And mishandling these negative comments, like arguing with them in the comments and trying to make your point and things, is just a horrible idea for your brand. Learning how to handle negative comments well is something that I've had to deal with over and over again as a YouTuber, obviously, and as somebody who's been on TikTok and Instagram for the past several years running my brand. And from my personal experience, ignoring them or writing back to them with some sort of compassionate outlook that's just like a really professional look is always the best solution. You'll almost always regret leaving a negative comment back within like an hour or two once the emotions have worn off, and you'll be like, damn it, I shouldn't have written that. Now it kind of looks bad on my brand, so just don't do it. All right, the last 5 of these are really good, so definitely stick around until the end. And if you've liked this video so far, please hit the like button. It really helps me get these videos out there. I'd really appreciate it. The 6th thing to not do when you start up a clothing brand is to release low quality products. Clothing brands are built on repeat customers and retaining customers that you've already sold to. The reason for this is because if you have to go out and find new customers every time, it costs money to do that in a lot of ways, and it's just a lot harder than if you already have an email list of people who have bought from you before, who are big fans of your brand, and you can literally just blast out an email and sell all of your new products to them. If your first products are low quality and you rush them to the market and your customers get them and they're not happy with it, they're never going to buy from you again, and it will crush your brand in 2 or 3 years from now. So take your time at the beginning developing the product into something that you would be happy wearing yourself. The 7th thing to not do when you start up a clothing brand is to focus all of your effort on the desktop version of your website and only a little bit of effort on the mobile version of your website. And I see this all the time. People for some reason want to build this super beautiful desktop website when 99% of the traffic to your website these days is going to be coming off of TikTok, coming off of Instagram, off of social media, and everybody's on their phone. So you want to spend the majority of your time working on optimizing the mobile version of your website way more than the desktop version of your website. And while we're on this topic of websites, the 8th thing not to do for your clothing brand is have an unprofessional domain name. Like, you need to have a .com, a .ca, or whatever your country is, but don't have it be like .bigcartel or .wix.com as your domain that you're trying to sell your clothing brand through. It just comes across as completely unprofessional, and it really does affect your brand's image. You wouldn't believe how common this is, so spend the extra $25 on a legit professional domain name and it'll improve the image of your clothing brand. The 9th example of what not to do when you start up a clothing brand is rush the name of your brand. And for my clothing brand, K-Bud, we have a pronunciation barrier in our name. And this is something that I never really realized when I was first starting up the clothing brand. Our clothing brand's name, K-Bud, came out of the slang in rural Canada. The way that we talk here is like K-Bud, and we spelt it like drawn out like that, like K-Bud. And so a lot of our customers find that aspect of it really funny, and that's probably one of the biggest reasons why they buy. But I also really don't like that my clothing brand has a pronunciation barrier. So if I could have gone back in time and start this brand from the beginning, I likely would have just spelt it K-A-Y-B-U-D and just spelt Bud the regular way. And then I could have used B-A-H-D in different ways throughout the brand, or just sort of different pronunciations of it, but just so that people are able to pronounce it right away. And if you rush the name of your brand, later on down the road, you'll likely have some regrets around it. And so I just wanted to help you out with that. And the 10th example of what not to do, and this might be the most cringy thing you could possibly do as a brand, is comment on other people's posts to check their DMs or to, check out their brand. Like, hey, we're a new clothing brand that just started up. Check out our brand. You come across as all those other people who are on accounts like, do you want to make $10? Join our free giveaway contest or something in the comments. And it's like, dude, just comment something regular, comment something normal. And if you comment something that's truly giving value, people will likely check out your brand and want to reciprocate. So just don't be spammy like that. Don't be like overly salesy in the comments or anything like that. It comes across as creepy and weird. I spent a full month recording a 100% free clothing brand course for anybody starting up a clothing brand right now. All you have to do to get access is go to freeclothingcourse.com. You can go through it at your own pace, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.